welcome back to my lovely IHP community and the 5D Collective. As we were closing out our previous episode, I talked a little bit about our lovely polyamory, polyfidelity, monoamory, monofidelity, but really I'm going to be talking about how some of us, we do know of using words to try and organize things, but we won't be fighting about it. Okay, so fighting would mean that you don't know how to use your functional adult. As Terry Real would point out, the functional adult is the person who's in their prefrontal cortex. So you're not an adaptive child part of yourself. The adaptive child part of people gets angry and aggressive and or sneaky. We talked about that one yesterday. That's where I'm coming into our conversation. So that's part of it. Also for me, for example, when I'm using polyamory, polyfidelity, monoamory, monogamy, I use it very easily, flexibly, and not in a way of, no, it has to be rigid, because that's how I am with words. But there is a difference, and there are those who understand the difference, and then there are those who are curious about the difference. And as with any of new words that we learn, so in the case of polyamory, I came across the book Polysecure and then Polywise. And with my polyfidelity relationship, and that's where it's a beneath polyamory, but see, even for me, it's like, okay, it's a type, and that's why I went to use our lovely Google. So polyfidelity, a specific style of polyamory. So if somebody says I'm polyamorous, that doesn't mean that they're not polyfidelitous. If somebody understands what this is, now if somebody doesn't give a shit and they really don't want to use labels, which is where someone was like, don't use all these labels. And I was like, I'm using words that I have used to organize my vessels, my relationships. So I'm putting it into practice, okay? And so here's why when we just talk in general, you have curious people, they make things comfortable. You have people who are adaptive child parts of themselves. You really get to practice. I get to practice. Maria gets to practice. Okay, so a self-empowered person, we talked about how it's smooth for those who use their minds wisely to address detours. That's the previous episode. Okay, so you want to check it out, you can. If you don't want to, you don't have to. But securely attached, non-traumatized people is what the 5D Collective is. Self-help, personal development, spiritual growth, it happens once you own yourself. You are in control. You don't need somebody to tell you that. Thanks, Gary Vee. I love that he's out there, because what he shares is going to be good for people who can be motivated by his speaking. How many will put it into practice? Well, it depends, because see, I don't need to have control. But on the external, people think I do. That's because I'm very organized, I'm meticulous, but it's in my own way, and also because I have healthy boundaries, so nobody can, in any way, shape, or form, do anything that I'd be like, sure. That's why the women say, you're so serious, and then the men say, you use your words wrong. So the men, and this is not gender, here's where I'm going to bring in, I'm, again, mystic, in the Enlightenment Soul Age group. Woo-woo pseudoscience is fine and a-okay with me. I'm a securely attached, non-traumatized human being. I metabolize my emotions. You don't need to comfort me. I don't need you. I can comfort myself. And if you do support me in any way, shape, or form, that's good. If you are doing it because you want to and not because you're going to come back in a room with some kind of using my words against me, quote unquote, I find it hard to believe. No. So when you are physically mastering yourself, again, Akashic record reader, I'm going to chime in with stories of me if you don't know me. Reiki practitioner, I am a person who did grow up with God, Jesus, Holy Spirit. God keeps chiming in and reminding me not to judge human suffering. I've been humbled by scientists to have explained me what the poor 0-1-year-old goes through, and thank you, Patrick Tiahan, for being out there for those who don't want to stay cowards and in their immaturity. So I'm going to present story because I told you I have a good story for you. Yes, one of which is really the most stupidest of all, because I'm 45. I was a teenager with my teenage boyfriend and he cheated and I didn't find it. Oh my God. No, but I didn't have polyamory to actually say, hey, you know what? The consensual non-monogamy thing is really something that would fit us ideally right now, because it seems like you're having a hard time, and that makes sense because we're kids. You're wanting to explore. I have the capacity to have this thing called compersion because I have self-confidence. I'm not afraid. You can't replace me. I forgot. I have a superpower. It's called a twin. It's a superpower because I'm not different in a way of being defective. And so here you go. Am I lucky? Sure. You can say I'm lucky. I'm happy with that. Just leave me alone because I have a good relationship with emotions. No, I don't suffer breakups actively. I got rejected at 4. Please stop making it sound like my world revolves around a man. It don't. And it don't revolve around a woman either. And it don't really revolve around a person. I actually need air to breathe. Anyone understand how life works? Please tell me you're not one of those. If you think that the world revolves around one person, you don't want to be here because actually it's not you think, it's that you feel. And I'm a whole 1-year-old right here. I can comfort my own self. I'm just letting you know what authentic self-worth looks like. And on a screen, don't matter when people don't believe it. Oh, I'm so sorry. 3 twin flames. Wow. You know what? Yes, they are in control of me because you have more experience. And so again, when I meet codependent human beings, Patrick Chan, I try telling them, Boca Raton. No, I don't tell them shit, Patrick, but I do know you're out there for them. So when I meet insecure people, they just remind me of drama kings and queens of my teenage years. That's it. You can ask my teenage friends. I got one of them. She'll tell you how I've grown more unconditionally loving and how I still, as she puts it, and I told her the last time she said this, I don't put up barriers, my friend. You put up barriers. Why do you have to do that every time? Okay, so here's some stories, and this is it was like a couple years ago. And so I'm telling her about some amazing stuff that's going on. She knows all about everything, and she chimes in as per her usual. You are blocking yourself from, because she's wanting her friends, her girlfriends, to go and have fun and find love and stuff like that. This typical idea that a person, man or woman, it don't matter. I don't feel that it's only women related. Men get some other different type, but again, I'm not a man, so I won't be talking for men because that's the one place where I'm gonna leave it alone. Right now I'm gonna leave it alone, because if I met empowered men, which I have, then they will know that we are all humans. If I meet idiot men, then they will use stereotypes and generalizations and superficial thinking, and they will dumb down something to the extent of where I'm not even going to bother. I'm an academic because I like information. I know data. I don't do storytelling. And that's because science explains how the brain works. So while neuroscience can explain to me the physiological brain of a man and a woman, and I've read it, I'm like, okay, I got it. Okay, so we're gonna sit down, relax, enjoy yourself, and we're gonna chit chat about this with now no gender. Don't bring me gender stereotypes, or you're gonna see me just try my best to say, put that out. I have humanities, social science in my back pocket. When I did sociology, a number of courses, I remember my gender and language class, and I do remember the tests we did. And I remember saying, I'm a feminist. No, I was a feminist for a little while. I'm a humanist, as I actively see both sides of a coin being in a place that is not where they need to have to be, and that it's not because of the bear or the man. It's the idiots who do the trending topics like the fancy lady in her fucking suit. Not a Gary V. He's awesome again. Just making sure I use words many ways, and it's Maria's way. And I just like to point it out because, again, I appreciate him. I appreciate him because he talks to people in their face. So this control thing, he's like, you're in control, not your daddy, not your mama, not your boss. There's nothing more obvious to me than the happiness starts with accountability. That happiness, that's right, Gary. That's true. Many are missing out on happiness because they choose blame, envy, jealousy, and non-responsibility as their emotional weapons of choice. And he is right again. But see, it's not an emotional weapon. It is actually insecurity, because blame is with shame, envy, and jealousy, and non-responsibility and spite are again with shame. So we still got a teenager in the room. Their 16-year-old who hasn't bothered to go to Patrick Tian to get out of the sneaky ass behavior and the aggressive one, and then their little fucking stuff in the head. So here's the part of why I laugh, because that control that he's talking about is a left mode alone. Once you get past it, if you're smart, you go to therapy, you get past it, you're going to find a bunch of beautiful, amazing inner world stuff to go on, because the accountability, when you choose accountability, your life gets so much better. It's about your nervous system. You self-regulate, you're accountable, you're aware. Awesome. You're no longer going to be in the safety battlefield. And so he has more stuff that he wrote, but I'm not going to read it. I am bringing him in just because I randomly saw this share that he got. And here's where another smart one. You're living in the past. Patrick Chan, he crosses out and says, my past is living in me. For those with childhood trauma, he says their past is living within them, and usually they want nothing to do with it, but there it is. He says survivors don't spend time dwelling on or living in abuse. Ironically, we put a lot of energy, if not all, into suppressing and forgetting as best we can. It should be thought of more like the abuse won't let the survivor go, rather than the survivor making a big decision to move on from it. He says that phrase or idea doesn't work, and survivors don't long for body memories, flashbacks, or breakdowns at work. They're just trying to get through their week. The sentence of the past is living, or you're bringing up the past. And he's like, no, it's living through me. That's why, again, Stephen Porges, with his, it's not the context of the story, it's the physiological response that he says, I wish I'd like more therapists too. And that's why that idiot therapist with his little power couple girlfriend, a billion ways to contest me, you don't care about being a therapist. You just copy Freud and made your daddy, mommy happy, as a teenager will, meaning an adaptive child part, because that's what I get to meet. Polyamory, you're all masochists, says this random human being who I just met. And I'm not offended because, again, I mean, whores is what comedians call us. And so, once again, I am not big on if I need to specify polyamory, polyfidelity, because anybody who is curious is going to ask with curiosity. Anybody who doesn't give a shit is not going to give a shit. And anybody who's closed-minded enough to be closed-minded is going to say, I never cheated. See, I'm faithful. And I'm going to think, oh, I broke up because I want to test the terrain. I want to go and have fun. So when I hear closed-minded people, I'm just thinking, you're buffoons like my teenage friends who didn't know anything about sex. And I'm not even joking with y'all. And I'm like, what the fuck? What year is this? Where do you live? You don't live in the place where they don't teach Darwinism. Why isn't your school teaching you about things that what about your parents? What's going on? You're not from places that you don't have access to information. My brain works that way, but I saw teenagers not want homework on a Friday evening. So, I mean, gosh darn it, as you grow up, you just keep meeting more and more limited consciousness. That's why I consider them all idiots. And when they think that I'm weird, I'm like, really? Well, sure. I mean, I'm happy with my weirdness because all I can see is repetitive ancient stories that make no sense in this era. And don't tell me that it's internet, because internet exists like anything else. And the stories, Schopenhauer, what was it? The large audience, the masses. Go watch Gladiator. Go watch a shitty docuseries that everybody actually thinks is true and run off of Facebook to then go jump right back on it and think that some of us are not able to know what the fuck is going on while we do. So in essence, let me share polyamory, the practice of engaging in multiple romantic and or sexual, and there's forums, believe me, polyamory, they're not into the polygamy thing. Ew, polygamy, which I was like, what are you doing? Oh, you're not poly enough. Wow, okay, again, what are you doing? So when you meet insecure human beings, they do the same thing teenagers did, and then they grow up and continue. It's called insecurity, no accountability, no regulation skill, no awareness, and nobody knows of Stephen Porges and their first 3 years of life because they don't want to. And it's like, okay, you really don't understand what it means to be bad. Poor boys, poor girls, no. So this dude says that we all are masochists. And I say, not the healthy self-worth ones. And when you tell these stories to empowered men and women, they laugh with you, not like, yeah, you're so weird. No, because the minute that this dude said this, I'm like, oh, fuck. I say, not the healthy self-worth ones. And he says, but that's hard. That's the part that I was like, what the hell? What? So obviously you don't have healthy self-worth in the forefront. I can't tell you now that, does that mean you're insecure? Because now I'm about to offend you. And I don't need to. I'm a smart human being. You just spoke words from your mouth. Makes me know exactly what you are. And so what I do, though, is I say, well, you told me you let your parents choose your work, so you're happy with your life. You're fulfilled, right? Like you have health. I was trying to basically let them leave with, because they said healthy self-worth is hard. And so anyways, long story short, let me drop that one, but it's not the only time I've had this happen. There's another conversation. This person's like, it's really hard to know what you want to do in life. It's hard. I'm like, no, I actually knew what I wanted to do when I was 16 and I'm still doing it. Oh, wow, that really? Yeah, no, actually it wasn't hard at all. I've been on consistently a path. And when people look at you, you almost like think, what? And need to not say that some of us know what we're doing. So people don't like those of us who are confident because no, I don't actually get into it anymore. Again, I just choose when I'm going to speak up because it's not hard. Some of us know how to handle life with our ventral vagal state. We are always on. The fact that somebody doesn't hear themselves is the lack of self-aware of an ignorant, insecure human being who doesn't go and get Patrick Tanham because their aggressive and sneaky manners are not something that they think they want to address. They don't care to. They like to dance around with Elsa and show themselves. No, they don't have to be naked on screen. They just shout, "How dare you trauma dump on me? I didn't cheat. See, I didn't cheat. I just broke up. You see, I broke up because I want to go have fun." Okay, so when I see idiot men and women, it's the same idiots again and again. I got to college. I'm fucking, but I'm lonely. You don't have to. It's not Lucifer. They all need Patrick Tanham so they can stop dating beneath themselves and have the past live through them. That's why I'm like, oh my God, okay. I'm not dating any 0-8-year-olds. Your subconscious is actively alive through you, and there you go. So I'm not going to be anywhere near people. No, I have a bunch of friends, but I don't hang out. I don't date insecure people that have their child parts living through them. And that's because that's what Empowered Feminine is here to say. So polyfidelity, a specific style of polyamory, where a group of 3 or more people are exclusively committed to each other and not dating outside the group. But again, everybody does their own vessels. So if you remember my episodes from last year or a couple years, because I've been able to be honored with Jessica Fern's book, the Polysecure one, my relationships were solo polyamory, and then they moved into this polyfidelity umbrella. And using words in ways that is even hard to pronounce is where you find those who say, I don't do labels, and others who are kind of like trying to support people to be in what is disgusting, traumatic, basically. I mean, just really anyone who doesn't want to be a healthy self-worth person, I'm not going to support it. This is what I'm trying to present with this. And so when I see ignorance on a screen, off a screen, in the world, I'm okay with using words the wrong way. Oh, I'm totally fine with it. I just think, wow, we are moving forward in time. And while I'm 45, I get to meet women and men of different age groups continue to be ignorant of topics that are actually being talked about with great ease from the smart ones of us. Because again, the ones who are actually saying, they're all sinners, whatever it is, they're off somewhere like with the flat earthers. I'm not talking to those people. They actively have their, silent of whatever on YouTube. That's it. There's those parameters. So I'm not concerned with that. And anybody coming to dismantle content also, again, insecure people dismantle content of others because they don't know how to have their own creativity. Really, it makes me think of those who got, it's not even funny, but yeah, envy, jealousy, spite leads people to have what it is that they will get. There is a person who was talking about how the sentence is what you seminate, what you bury is what you will receive. And that is what your frequency is what you're going to, what you're going to bring forth, you're going to put out. And that actually isn't something that I find funny at all, because it's sad to know. But the phrase "you're living in the past" implies choice to which the survivor didn't have in childhood and doesn't have in the present. It also dismisses horrifying things that children go through and then are later blamed for. It's a very shaming phrase, usually said while the survivor is trying to process. Until our past is witnessed, shared, processed, and healed, which takes time, money, and energy, therapy, it will manifest in most of our daily lives. It will pop up in everything from our thoughts about ourselves in the morning to how we engage with others. So anybody who cares, snapping fingers or clicking our heels and telling ourselves that we dismiss or forgive what our family systems did and will be different from now on and stop being affected by the emotional, physical, and sexual abuse is bullshit. I agree with you, Patrick Tan. So people who are healing for real, they will end up being around those who are healing with Patrick. They won't be with any one of us who is potentially where I'm at. Why? Because they won't necessarily jive with the frequency of an ease and a eustress body, because that's exactly where a securely attached, non-traumatized person who's a functional adult is. And so they might have charges around a bunch of different personal topics that are theirs, and their exiles and protectors will come up. That aggressiveness or sneaky business. Now, if they're in a good therapist seat, they won't project it. And that's because they're doing the work. They'll apologize, they'll be aware, accountable, and regulate. They won't get envy, jealousy, spite. I won't have to deal with a teenager. If they don't, for me personally, actually, it doesn't matter, because I know how to handle any insecure asshole that comes across my way, because I've met them before, and I'm not interested. Again, as I keep letting you know, God tells me not to judge human suffering, because I don't judge it good or bad. Don't waste my fucking time. I'm a grown-up, and I've been a grown-up for a while, which is why I replaced the word I used to use when I think of these people. And it wasn't Lucifer, because nobody's scary of a monster. I haven't seen anyone that's scary. No, I've seen people who are tortured from their households, which makes me sad for them, not for me. Okay, so yeah, when you see, again, anyone who's wanting to judge monoamory, polyamory, all of it, I just think you are all going to continue to perpetuate that, which is something that is not love. It's just something called people who have their 1-year-old, and we all want a securely attached figure. As Sadhguru points out, love is freedom and joy, while attachment is bondage and misery. Yeah, attachment, those people who don't understand what that is, in the physiological sense, that's why they'll say, you're not poly enough. That means you don't know how to love at all. And anyone who says polyamory don't love and don't understand that there are different words, because we are obviously growing as a community, and the ones of us who are empowered are okay with being teased. This is the part that I'm trying to make you understand, is that the people who are the partner and or partners are the ones who we will take into consideration and will want to ensure that the clarity of communication is done. Other than that, society can keep doing what they've always done. But watching human beings who disregard completely an opportunity to expand their brain and do things differently, and watch idiots actually think that to perpetuate yesterday's news is something fancy, well, it's not really fancy. So that is what I was thinking a couple of the stories as we ended the other episode to share, because the truth is, empowered feminine here likes empowered feminines, empowered masculines. There's not all of those out there of different age groups, and it's important for us to walk a walk and talk a talk. So I choose to talk about polyamory, polyfidelity, solo polyamory, all of the different things that I've learned from Jessica Fern, to what I get to experience, to whatever and however it is that it's presented to me, the interactions, because the part of where people think that to have integrity and valor or value means the monogamous couple, no. You telling me, why? I never cheated. But then you have chosen to end, for example, a long, whatever, relationship because of a closed-mindedness, because of yesterday's news, because you think that that means till death do part, sickness and in health, till rich and poor, all of that. I mean, sure, you can keep believing that. I, in the meantime, have an explanation for what the 1-year-old of you wants. Thank you, Jessica Fern. So yes, a polyamory relationship in general, all of the different dynamics will lead anyone to potentially have what is called, it's a specific word, but your 1-year-old will react in fear. And I used the word before so that you could all learn about it. And in fact, she explains how to talk about this, because it's you actually thinking, no, you're actually feeling you're going to lose your primary person. And then it's like a panic attack. And so when somebody's experienced that, I know what it is, which is why it's good to use the word, label, whatever, so that somebody can say, oh, okay, that's what I did. That's what happened. And the left mode now has an explanation, and the right mode has gone through its moments. And the minute your brain is in harmony, you're like, okay, that makes sense. And that's where then the partnership of the healthy self-worth people continues to thrive. But you don't get secure attachment because of polyamory. Sorry, Jessica Fern, I don't agree with that one, because it's the individual who chooses to learn to self-regulate, to be self-accountable, to be self-aware, and to use the psychoeducation to get integrated. And so with that, a securely attached person doesn't have issues when somebody doesn't understand, or when we get flabbergasted, or whatever the word is, because no, I don't know all words. I don't care to. And anytime I'm meeting anyone who makes it hard for me to talk, I just want to leave. But then I'm obligated to stay, because otherwise, so here's where I get bored with people who are picky with words, because they just bored me. And that's it. It's not right or wrong. I don't want to talk to you anymore. And now you're going to make me talk to you, and you're going to continue to bug me. And I have a twin, so we have a fun time playing with words, and we don't give a shit when we were kids. That's my point. So yeah, brain Thank you, Robert Sapolsky. Determined. Every one of us has why. We will have a good time, not want to get into sneaky business or aggressive business, because really, what are you doing? Life is so easy and you're making it so hard to socialize right now. But some people want to prove points because their exiles just have to say their 2 cents because their 3-year-old didn't get to. So again, let's let the 3-year-old say what they gotta say. But yeah, that's why I'm laughing with the I'm laughing and I'm not frustrated, but it's really not fun to witness older women and men think of things that are idiotic because of the years we're in, and younger men and women also continue to think of things in idiotic ways. And so envy, jealousy, spite. When it comes to monogamy, teenage Maria, teenage boyfriend, he cheats the first time. He tells me. I say, okay, we clear it up. I say, don't think I'm going to become like our friends. I ain't checking your phone. Nothing's changing here. You told me. And that's it. We decided we want, great. By the second time, this was a whole different scenario. And my friends, so I'm not going to go through all the story. But my point is, once it was over, people are like, you let him get away. I'm like, what? Was he my dog? Did I have him on a leash? No, because you didn't do what was I supposed to do? He's not my prisoner. He's happy. That's good. I'm happy. He's happy. What do you want? People don't know. It's weird to people who know what love is for you to actually want to not be friends with your exes, to think of them still sexually. And honestly, that's even more. But you know what? Here, I'll bring in the man-woman thing. I don't like gender stereotypes, but the brain and the way it works neuroscientifically, and because of a conversation I've recently had, and because of having empowered men around me, so I have the honor to know smart human beings. Women, yes, but some of them don't know how to handle the brain difference because they're in the whole group of where they pick the bear. I don't pick the bear. I don't like the man who gets on screen and wants to choke the woman, or the men who use the Bible so they can, I don't like any of that, but I understand where it comes from. And as long as we have leaders who talk about a polyamory woman as someone who's a piece of shit, oh, it's pretty straightforward where the ignorance comes from. I just don't find it hard to believe because I meet random human beings who are not in locations where they are supposed to be ignorant this way. These are people who apparently poets. I mean, come on, look at me with all my dresses. So I meet ignorance all the time, and they can look as fancy as they want. I'm just ready to leave that room. No, luckily, again, I get to choose my herd. So, I am in the presence of intellectual intelligence, and then I'm in the presence of that which is intellectual stupidity. And I am being presented completely dumbed down shit. And as I'm witnessing this, I'm thinking there's way more to you than what you're presenting, and I can tell that you're not being given other opportunities to explore. And that brain of yours works this man way that men have said it works, and that neuroscientists can also confirm the whole visual stuff. Okay, so I totally am happy that I'm a woman. FYI, would not ever want to be a man. I'm disgusted. I'm so not even. I won't go there because unless they're empowered, they're not intriguing to me. They're disgusting and they're upsetting, and they are all of the ones who are not. And not in a way of I judge them, no, in a way of actually how it seems they function. I would love to see more empowered men actually be there and teach the right way to use their visual, is what I'm trying to get at, because this is what I was hearing and witnessing, and I'm understanding, because again, I've gotten explained by the empowered men this visual thing. So I'm hearing something that I won't be able to understand physically, but I know of it again because of the good conversations that take place. So in the meantime, I'm just trying to chime in as we're all there talking. It's not that I'm chiming in, butting in an effort to enlighten. Look, there's a lot of different dynamics out there that some people might not be open to, meaning women and men, but some might. And if you're a good communicator and you're empowered, then you can present. If you might find that they'll shut the door on you and they might yell at you, insult you, they might think a lot of things. Because again, with the polyamory community, we totally know of being name called. Whores, unfaithful, masochists. Again, you just want to have fun, whatever it is. And I'm a woman, so in my case, it's for the men, I'm going to say that the women usually think it's only about them wanting to fuck, which is not the case. Again, polygamy is part of the under umbrella of polyamory. Polyfidelity is a vessel, a dynamic, is a way that, again, people will decide, and we don't be, I mean, at least for empowered people, we're not going to go and pick apart anything that is being said by another, because that's not what empowered people do. The only ones who want to pick apart like that are the ones who are creating a small little niche group who say, you don't belong. And what I found out in the forums is that the polyamory community, they want to be accepted by other groups who aren't accepting them. And they're like, but why aren't you? And I was like, because you don't belong in that group. You're only talking about going beyond the monogamous relationship. You actively don't need a group to defend you that way. I mean, what's the worst case scenario is you just get called what? A cheater, which you're not, one. Again, the name calling is not really a big deal. So that's how, again, I will feel about stuff like this. Is what do you need a group for? I can explain myself, and if I want to, if I don't want to, I don't have to. And really, I mean, again, words are words. That's what an empowered person can tell you, because anyone who makes it into a big deal, aggressive, sneaky business, they need Patrick Tian, not me. I don't get big with words, because anytime you meet low self-esteem people, all they do is play with words. And that's in a very... I don't put any effort into it. People think I avoid on purpose because I'm afraid. No, I don't want to waste my brain time in that. That's actively the teenagers that presented to me what they were doing, and I want to learn things and have a good time, and you're not teaching me anything. And so at a certain point, it's like, I'll wear your mask. One, I get to know everything about you, because that's what you're doing. Two, if you're playing some kind of insecure game, you're going to still teach me shit about you, because everything that's coming out of your mouth, it's all been excogitated in that brain. In the meantime, I don't know what's going on, because it has nothing to do with me, but you keep seeming to want to bring it to me. So, you don't be like, oh my God, again, they broke me down. Where? And so sticks and stones may break my bones, and words will never harm me. And those who say until they do don't have self-empowered egos. I do. So no, words can't harm me physically. They can maybe make me sad. I've been rejected at 4 years of age, got disowned at 8. I got dumped by the teenage boyfriend. I mean, really, I'm so sorry. Well, how are you sorry? When people have done this, I'm like, excuse me, you don't understand, do you? The world don't revolve around a man. I have air. I got water. Where is it? Right here. Well, look. I got food. Oh, and I've gotten spoken words too. And I knew as those words were being spoken that they are same words of how I think, which is why I didn't take offense, because it's true. I only need water, air, food. That's it. That's all I need to physically survive, because I'm an empowered person, though, not because I did it all by myself. No, actually, my implicit memory, I have one. I'm got lucky. I got my superpower. I got a twin. See, I can explain why I don't have this thing called a mammalian heritage and our fear. People don't like it when they have insecurity, but I don't care if you like or don't like an explanation that can then give you a data point of how you can get here too, which you might not get here for like 20, 30, 40 years. I don't know it. I'm sorry. I don't have suffering. Should I be apologizing to people because I don't navigate my temporal junction? And those who, again, don't like the explanation, you're just pretending. Again, I can't prove it to you, because you would have to be living in my body. But since your mind is yours and your thoughts are yours, it doesn't matter if you'd be living in my body, because you'd still be in the fear frequency, my friend. Your laundry tells me that, because it's actively how are you using your brain and your mind and your body. And as Lisa says, your mind is deciphering what comes up from the body, your story. You're not the story, but that's where the first part is. You don't want to work with your mind? Don't work with it. You ain't working with your thoughts. You ain't working with your emotions. Go hang out with the fancy lady in her fucking suit and think how dangerous it is to have no emotions. In the meantime, I'm going to have fun with fun people. So again, when you're seeing idiots do idiotic things and you can chime in and try to, you just do so, which is where I've done this in a numerous of occasions, because at least I can give you food for thought. And that's because really hearing, oh, poor unfortunate souls, so sad, but true. That one wanting to be pretty, that one wanting to get the girl, and do I help them? No, I don't, because I'm actively not that one. I'm more of the, okay, so here's the deal. Here's your opportunities, here's your options, here's your thoughts. Yeah, there you go. Basta. Finito. That's all. That's all, folks. Yes. In the women case, they are like, what are you, crazy? They won't ever accept that. Did you even try? In the men case, it's, okay, that's interesting. The empowered ones. In the men who are insecure, love. It's not about sex. No, 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 no. You have to only love me. Okay, then. I mean, wow. So you're okay with me bringing to you STDs, maybe. Or basically, you're just okay that I will treat things as pieces of flesh, which is what you're doing, which is not what I am, which is where we get to go to. What is it? Oh, maladaptive patterns of behavior, fucking, drinking, drugging. Not from Lucifer. Nope. Not from promiscuity because of that word. Nope. From, well, aggressive and sneaky behavior, adaptive child people who don't know how to talk about what they want, don't want, their 3-year-old, their trauma. There you go. Yes, yes, yuck, yuck, yuck again. And there's why I think of idiots in a very specific way. Silverbacks, have fun with your Peter Pans, Pinocchios, and Lost Boys. In the meantime, some of us are going to grow empowered and not picky with words because, again, there's a variety of labels, identifiers, however you want it, but we're not dressing up in them with rigidity. We're trying to be able to communicate. This is the difference. And so I can use a word, which is what I am trying to do with the polyamory and the polyfidelity thing and the monoamory and the monogamy. Not all polyamory are polygamists, but I'm also just creating conversation because there's not enough of empowered people who talk just to chit chat. And that's what I'm doing. And when you meet those who do chit chat, they have a good time, because they actively know this, and that's what we want to grow a community of people who ask with curiosity, openness, awareness, and love, with also that which is a brain that isn't like, you can't love, you can love, because nobody tells anybody how to love. That's ridiculous. And the explanation, again, of your embodied brain is pretty straightforward. So I love that I can tell you Stephen Porges is going to publish a book about how love is when you are securely attached with the other person, because it means that I can sit with you forever and know that my back is safe. But I can also know that I'm a human and I'm vulnerable to the fact that I'm afraid that I'll lose you. But I have compersion because I do love you truly, so I'll always want to see you smile. And that doesn't mean that I'll be like, if they're not with me, I forgave them. No, that you actively have a 0-1-year-old who is completely understanding of this risk, because I got to deal with it with my mother when I was a kid. I still work with it. No, I don't. I try to not think about it at all. I'm not kidding. So this is where we all will have one primary securely attached figure. You will then, in the partner and or partners, also be establishing that, and it's your safe haven, secure base. So you won't want to lose them, and the fear of losing them is why that first time, for anyone who has been in a polyamory dynamic, Jessica Fern explains and has the word for it, it's primal attachment panic. So I didn't go through it that way with my twin flames because I got a twin. I have an explanation for why it's easy for me to share primary figure, not caregiver. I got one of them because I'm 2. I already had it, and I was a 1-year-old. There you go. So I'm just saying there's a lot that we can learn from each other, and we will be back more on the topic. So thanks for stopping by. Like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back with more.